It's Mai from Cafe, and I just wanted to make a quick video about the Grayscale appeal against the SEC to convert the Bitcoin Trust into an ETF, which is kind of awesome. There's other comments I have about Grayscale itself, but I'm going to leave them outside of the scope of this video um, for various reasons. So, as you know, GBTC was like a trust. And there's a lot of issues with people using the shares, and yeah, I'm not gonna get into that because it's kind of complicated. But in this video, we're gonna talk about the judge. Um, they questioned the SEC's denial to convert the trust because the SEC has not have a really good reason or to not allow the trust to be converted to an ETF. And they denied SEC's denial. Um, Yeah. And the decision represents a landmark for crypto. The SEC has denied several applications for Bitcoin ETFs, which allows investors to gain exposure into BTC without holding the coin. So it's really quite crazy how the SEC will make all these various complaints, but when we're given a relatively safe options for people to hold things and having like checks and balances with the BTC, and let's get up some type of system where, okay, you guys don't want people to hold it directly. You say this asset is too dangerous. Well, if we put in an ETF, that should offer some stability because people are buying and holding it, and there's checks and balances within that. Now, what's the problem? So even though that's been presented as a solution, suddenly they're saying no against that. And it was like, okay, but why? And they can't answer why. Well, that's not within their regulatory power to do so. If you don't have a reason to say no, and this is something that can enhance the market and, bring in more money, what's the problem? And I'm glad other courts are starting to see like the SEC is not ruling in the best interest of the people. They're moving on their own self-interest, and we don't know what that is or why that's even a thing, but it is, unfortunately. The court explained that the SEC lacked a coherent explanation for the denial. The commission failed to adequately explain why it approved the listing of two Bitcoin futures ETPs, but not Grayscale's proposed Bitcoin ETPs. Also, why would you guys approve a leveraged future contract for Bitcoin and not a spot Bitcoin ETF? That doesn't even make sense. Like, if you're trying to be like, oh, let's make it safe for everyone, that's not safer. That's inherently more risk. So I don't know. It just seems to be kind of crappy. Their reasoning, their logic, and their behavior at this time. And I'm glad other courts are like stepping in to say, hey, like what's going on? Grayscale said it's a monumental step for American investors and the Bitcoin ecosystem. All those have been advocating for the Bitcoin exposure through added protections of an ETF wrapper. Yeah. And then, if it's so so the SEC and Grayscale will have 45 days to appeal the court's decision. If that happens, the case will be able to send to the U.S. Supreme Court to be the subject of an in-bank panel review where all courts judges will weigh in their hearing. So what also could happen is, so let's say the SEC is like, oh God, yes, they would also have to approve every other Bitcoin ETF application, because then it's like, okay, well, why are you discriminating against such and such company? Because there were some issues with the trust, and I probably will make a different video because that's outside of the scope of this video. So yes, so if they appeal it and it goes to a higher court, there's something funky going on, because it's just like, you guys, like, you're literally stalling. You're not approving it intentionally for whatever reason. I don't know what deal they've made with other agencies or blank, 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 but this is ridiculous at this point. Then it would have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court or be subject to an en-bloc panel review. And that's fine. If that's what we have to do to get proper regulations to seek a higher court, that's fine. But at a certain point, I think the SEC should be removed for making financial decisions within the crypto market. They were never really granted the crypto market. They just kind of included it into their space with disclosures, but it's not inherently just for them to make regulations. There's other government agencies that have been working and creating their own like mini frameworks to deal with crypto, like the CFTC. Like, everyone, the SEC is the only agency that's inherently violent in like trying to do regulation by enforcement, which doesn't make any sense if you're like a disclosures and permissions agencies and you can only do fines. You can't actually do civil Like you can't charge someone to go to jail. You would still have to send them to the DOJ. So like their thought process is we're trying to do regulation by enforcement. You're not, it's not even within your legal ramification to do that. And it's like you would think you would know that, but maybe they've forgotten, their basis of a regulation. Seems to be some confusion. Someone should remind them. So yeah, I think this is cool. This would definitely be cool. The court describes the SEC's denial as arbitrary and capricious. Wow. They are not liking it. It took issues with the SEC's stance that fraud and manipulation concerns in the spot market are different than regards in the future. That doesn't even make sense. They're saying that there's more fraud and manipulation in spot markets than futures, but don't you regulate both? So why would there be more fraud in one or the other? Yeah, I don't understand. It's kind of strange. And Grayscale argued in July that all applicants on the SEC test should be approved once if the regulatory green light comes on. So yeah, this is kind of cool. There's a little bag of hope for us. Yeah, because I think there was some issues. I have to go back. I'll make a separate video as to the issues with Grayscale and DCG and the weird debt that they were acquiring, who they were loaning out loans to, and it's a whole nother argument. But yeah, this is good. It's sad that we have to go through all this for someone to say like, hey, this isn't right, and the way that they're moving is costing people money, time, and energy. But progress is progress nonetheless. Okay, thank you guys. Please like or comment on this video if you helped understand what happens with the appeal. And please let me know if you have any questions in the comment box below. Bye guys.